Well, not the video I was expecting to make today. But I have an experience that, for one, I need to document. And number two, I just need to talk about this. And I think others need to hear it. You know, we talk about racism in this country. And you think about minorities, Latinos, blacks, LGBTQ. You know, there's a big inclusion campaign for their acceptance, regardless of anyone else's beliefs. That's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm talking about religious discrimination. I'm talking about antisemitism. What frustrates me is I'm a Christian. And just because I believe in following the Torah, God's instruction, what the Hebrews, what the Jews are supposed to be following, what they've been taught to follow, instructed by God to follow, I'm trying to do the same thing in my life. I love my Heavenly Father. And I'll tell you what, today's experience, it's changing me. It's opening my eyes to things I didn't even see in the moment. So I'm going to share this experience with you now. Maybe a little long-winded. I'm sorry. But I'm going to do my best here to give an accurate breakdown of what I experienced and how it affected me. So let me start off first by saying this is an issue that came up between me and the landlord of the apartment complex that we live in. We live in a privately owned and managed HUD subsidized housing. We have a year lease that's renewed every year. To give you an idea of the type of landlords that I'm dealing with, we had a fire in our oven on April 22nd, and the oven was experiencing quite a few electrical issues. It would not maintain temperature, so the thermostat was out. There was a light that was on. The oven indicator light would not shut off, and we were forced to use this oven, or the stove top. We were unable to use the oven for over 50 days. We actually got a new oven put in today, which coincidentally coincides with an event that they put on today. I'm going to cover up their name because I don't want to implement any, but I don't want to give away any names publicly, because this is probably going to become a legal matter. So for the sake of privacy of the other party, we're not going to get into names, but I'm going to show all the details of exactly what's happened, what they're trying to do, and what happened today. So first and foremost, we have a barbecue. They decided to put on this barbecue. It says, come join us for a free barbecue and yard games. When? Tuesday, June 20th, today. From 1:30 to 2:30. Where? Right outside your door. All food, drinks, and games are provided. It sounds wonderful. Would be wonderful if it was that easy. But you see, literally a month prior to that, they send us this. They try to make an addendum to our lease. But guess what? Where is it here? Barbecue grills. No barbecue grills. Specifically says prohibited items. Aquariums over 10 gallons. Water beds. Well, those make sense. Pianos. Organs. Swimming pools. Barbecues. Barbecues. Would you guess what the reason is why they said that we can't have barbecues and why they're trying to make an addendum to our lease? Mid-lease. Would you guess why their excuse was? Their insurance. Their insurance says that it's too much of a liability for us to have barbecues. But they can put on a barbecue in the very same yard that we would barbecue? Does that seem right? Does that seem a little like the landlords feel like we're too incompetent to run a barbecue safely without burning ourselves down, but they somehow can? I asked the question, if your insurance says we can't have a barbecue, what is it that your insurance feels that you can have a barbecue? They didn't have an answer for that. Anyways, when they were setting up and getting things organized, well, after they got set up and were getting things organized, I went out there and I wanted to discuss with them how that makes a tenant feel. Because quite frankly, to me, and I know to others in this apartment complex, whether they're willing to say so or not to them, have expressed to me that that makes them feel like they're somehow incompetent of being able to properly use a barbecue. And it was insulting to them as well as myself that they would do that. And one of the women who said that she was the organizer of the barbecue said, "You're right. I'm sorry. I take personal responsibility for it, and that could have been handled with, that them doing this could have been handled with better tact." And I told her I appreciate that. Now, I also made mention that when it came to them setting up their little barbecue, which, might I add, in my RV, I do own a barbecue. As a matter of fact, it's the same exact barbecue as the one that they use today. Mine uses the little green propane canister. It's about yay big. It's black, has a handle on it, just like theirs. The woman who set that up actually had to have one of the other women take the little cap off of the bottle so that she could connect it to the barbecue, because she couldn't figure out how to get the cap off. And somehow we're not allowed to have a barbecue, but they're allowed to barbecue in our yard. I told her that makes me feel like you guys think we're incompetent. And then I believe her name's Desiree. She had blonde hair. So the one who took responsibility, she had crimpy hair and some glasses. The one who couldn't get the cap off the propane, her hair was like pulled back in a ponytail, dark hair. And I think the maintenance guy said that the blonde-haired lady who was actually one in charge, the manager that was in charge, her name, I believe, was Desiree. But anyways, she had white sleeves and blonde hair. And she chimes in and says, "Do you want any food?" And I said, "No, it's not kosher. I can't eat any of that." And she says to me, "Well, this barbecue isn't for you. Why don't you go inside?" So last year, this same woman came to my door to do an inspection on a high holiday where it's commanded I don't work on those high holidays. I'm not going to let you come into my house and do an inspection and manage that whole situation on a high holiday. It's not happening. Period. And I had confirmation that that was respected and that they would reschedule. And lo and behold, here she comes with her team of people knocking on my door. And I had to repeat to them then, this was last year, this is a high holiday. I will not be doing this today. We had already made that clear. It was absolutely insulting and disrespecting my religion, knowing that it was religious reasons why we weren't going to do the inspection that day. So she had already had a root in her mind, and I didn't even realize it until about 30 minutes ago when I was outside with my dogs and trying to figure out why I just can't let this go. And it's because God's trying to tell me, look, this is what the world's going to do to you because you follow my commandments. There's going to be people out there, they're going to hate you for following my commandments. You know, in the last days it says, there's an evil prepared for this time. Racism, antisemitism, hate, that is an evil in our world today that we don't need. We need to be better than that. We need to respect each other's differences. Look, I don't agree with many of the things that are going on in the world right now. They're against my beliefs. But do I push them on you? Do I push them on the world? No. That wouldn't be right. We did that before. And look how that turned out. Now, if you're a faith believer, if you got a religion, you're laughed at. You're disrespected. You know, religious freedom is one of our constitutional freedoms in this country. I think people forget that. And that's really sad because I tell you what, when I was standing outside a little while ago and I realized what had happened to me, it took me like 20 minutes just to not be speechless about it. I had to come up and make this video because this is helping me get it out of my system and process what has happened to me. Do I look like somebody who would be discriminated against? Goes to show exactly how much you can see on the outside compared to what there is in each and every one of us. We need to respect that. We need to understand we have differences and not let hate rule those differences. Be better, people. Peace.